So the Z Fold 4 has been out for around 6 months now, and to be honest, I've held back from sharing my opinion on it. I've shared something here and there on Twitter, but I am here to tell you what I think about the Z Fold 4. I've been testing it out now for quite a while, and it's a very unique device. Of course, it's very expensive at like $1,800 plus or whatever. It is super expensive, but on the other end, there is something so incredible about the Galaxy Z Fold 4. So I'm going to share my full thoughts on it and give you a full review on it right now. So with all that being said, let's get right into it. So the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4, it's a very polarizing device. Some people absolutely hate the idea of foldables. They say they'll never ever try a foldable, especially iPhone users, right? Because a lot of them, no offense, but a lot of people who do use those iPhones, they don't like anything that Apple doesn't make, right? But if you go out of that ecosystem, right, and you experience something new and fresh, and you go to a foldable phone like this, I'm telling you, you are going to be a person most likely that is very, very impressed. But the one thing that kept me back from really going to the Z Fold 4 was the price. So when this phone launched, it launched for a very high price. I'm pretty sure it was around $1,800, maybe it was $1,700, I don't know. But the price is really, really ludicrous, right, to pay that much for a phone. Now you can justify it, don't get me wrong. If you buy a really nice tablet for $800 or $900, you buy a really nice phone for $800 or $900, right? You'll come around the same price as the Z Fold 4 anyway. And this phone does both. It is a tablet and it is a normal phone. Plus you're paying a little bit extra for really cool, unique tech. But if you did wait around a little bit, you will be very, very impressed to find there are a ton of great deals on this phone. For one, Samsung has dropped a ton of great trade-in deals on this phone. They've dropped the price of this phone considerably. A lot of carriers out there have dropped the price quite a bit. And you could also find this phone on the used market for very good prices. If you look around on places like Swappa or eBay, you could find this phone around $900. In fact, I was lucky enough to find it around $800. That is pretty rare though, but I got a really good deal on this phone, and I'm very, very impressed with that value when you consider how good it is for that price. So regardless of the high retail price, things have changed, right? It's been about 6 months since the launch of this phone, and now this phone is a really good value for those of you out there who are looking for a nice foldable phone. Now, some of you aren't really interested in foldable phones, right? You've heard how damaged they could be and how fragile they are. And I've got to admit, these phones can be sort of fragile. If you look at the past at a lot of foldable phones, they can really just have these issues around that crease in the middle, right? That really ugly crease in the middle of these phones. You can't see cracks in the screen. You do have a screen protector inside the device on this big screen that you're required really to keep on. If you don't, your screen is going to be much more fragile than a normal phone screen, right? So those type of things might annoy you, or there can be dust around the screen itself. You can have dust around that, or if you put a screen protector on this main screen or on this outer screen, I should say, you might get some dust around it, right? So those little things can be annoying. Now you do have water resistance, but you don't have dust resistance, right? So all of these little things have been really hindering some people from really jumping into the foldable market, but there is a lot to love with this phone, and I'm about to brag on it for a minute. And one thing is, of course, the design. Now, there aren't a lot of phones like this, right? That can fold open, that have this really cool, unique form factor. I'm telling you, if you haven't used a foldable phone yet, you will be really impressed when you have this outer screen. It's not as wide as a normal phone screen, but they did increase it. If you had a Z Fold 3, this is a little bit wider than the Z Fold 3, which is really, really nice. Even though it's not too noticeable, I'm telling you, you will definitely notice the difference of width between the Z Fold 3 and the Z Fold 4, which is really, really nice. And if you open up, of course, not only do you have a really nice 120 hertz screen on the outside, but you have a really nice, beautiful OLED screen as well on the inside. It looks absolutely great. And the big thing they improved on this phone, this does have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It's in fact the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 Plus, or the 8 Plus Gen 1, whatever you want to say. Look, this is a terrific processor, because the last processor that was in the Galaxy Z Fold 3, it was not very battery efficient, right? That was one huge problem that a lot of people had, because if you have a small screen here, that's fine, it probably won't suck up a lot of battery life, right? But if you do open up to a huge screen, a 7.6-inch screen is going to use a lot of battery. That's why a lot of Galaxy tablets have 8,000 milliamp batteries, right? Because you're powering such a large device, you do need a larger battery. And fitting a larger battery in a device like this is really, really tough, because it is so thin and it's a really unique form factor. So the fact that they did have a better processor in this device that is more battery efficient, that is a huge win. So there aren't a lot of differences, if you were wondering, between the Z Fold 3 and the Z Fold 4. But if you look at this device, it looks almost identical in almost every way. You have a very similar aspect ratio. It looks similar on the outside and the inside, but those two differences right there, a little bit of a bigger screen or a little bit of a wider screen on the outside, and having more battery efficiency, those things are a big deal. They also did improve the durability of the screen protector, so it is going to last a little bit longer, at least according to Samsung, and this device overall is going to be more durable. They also have a little bit of a slimmer hinge design as well, which is really, really cool. So they've done a lot to improve this over the Z Fold 3, even though it is incremental. But this Z Fold 4, would I consider it? Absolutely. When you look at this device, if you look at the display, for example, right? It's a 2176 by 1812 display. It's a really nice resolution. It's a 7.6-inch screen when you do open it up. Like, it's a gorgeous display, 120 hertz, and a lot of cool apps, by the way, are very optimized now for foldables. So even something like Facebook, which I know isn't all that popular anymore, but maybe you use it to talk with your grandma or something, I don't know. Well, Facebook is more optimized for foldables, honestly more optimized for foldables than it is for tablets. And we see even something like Twitter, it just looks really nice, and maybe it's just the AMOLED screen, but when I'm scrolling around on Twitter, it does look really, really nice. I absolutely love it. So a lot of apps are going to look good, but beyond that, just the screen itself, this gorgeous OLED display, having a 7.6-inch OLED display at your fingertips. I can't describe how good that is in your phone. A lot of us just aren't used to having such a large screen on our phones. And you might wonder how that crease will bother you. I understand you see it in the lighting and certain lighting conditions, but in most day-to-day uses, when you're looking straight at it, you're not going to notice that crease. It's going to go away as you're watching stuff. You're not going to notice it all that much. Now, if you look at other parts of the design, like the speakers, for example, you do have speakers on the top and the bottom. They are extremely loud. I really love that. You have a fingerprint sensor on the power button, which is great. Now, I don't love the body of this device, right? I will say that the body, it is very nice and shiny, but it can scratch up a little bit easier than some previous models. I've noticed that the cases that I put on it, it can scratch up the edges a little bit, so that is a little bit of a disappointment. But there is so much to like about this device, and if I were to summarize it, I would say that this device is a step down from a lot of flagships in a lot of ways, but it's still so darn good. This has some of the best performance out of any device you can get out there, so it's not really a step down in that. The screen, I would say, I don't know if it's a step down. In my opinion, it's not, because if you actually fold it out and have a beautiful 7.6-inch screen, sure, there's a little bit of a line in the middle, right, with that crease, but outside of that, I would say this display is going to be more enjoyable to use than a lot of other devices. But this device is a step down when you consider some small things like the fact, again, of that crease, or if you consider things like the cameras, right? The cameras on this device, they are very similar to something like the Galaxy S22. So the cameras are good, right? But they're not the absolute best. I would say they're a step below flagship quality. So I use the Galaxy S22 actually for my YouTube videos, not for this shot right here, but for a lot of my B-roll that I use in my videos. And I think the video quality is good. I think the pictures are very, very good on that phone. And this also has very good pictures. It does have good video quality, but again, it's going to be a step down below some flagship devices. So is this the best phone out? Well, I would say the S22 Ultra is a slightly better phone in some ways. The cameras will be a little bit better, and overall as a phone, it's a little bit better overall. However, I will say if you're looking at a tablet and a phone and the hybrid combination, that's where this device is just so much better than a lot of other devices. With a 4400 milliamp battery, the battery life is really good on this phone. The performance is amazing. The screen is absolutely gorgeous with this OLED display. This does have top of the line performance. It's going to have almost the best or the best in absolutely every category. But the one thing this device gives you that you can't find in really any other device is a cool and fun and versatile form factor. It is so much nicer, even if I'm just scrolling around on Twitter. Scrolling around on a gorgeous 7.6-inch display is always going to be better than a smaller display. And if you want a smaller display, maybe you're just rolling out of bed and you don't want this gigantic screen, you just fold it over and have this little small screen. It's really nice for phone calls. I do feel like this phone and how small it is, it's really good for those little things, right? It is a little bit heavier for those things than your average phone, but outside of having a little bit of extra weight, it has a 6.2-inch display on the outside. But man, that screen is absolutely gorgeous. And this will have 25-watt charging. Again, I wish it was a little bit more, but hey, that's not too bad. So overall, I know I've been going back and forth with a lot of things with this phone. I just want to say I'm really, really impressed with it. If you're an average person out there and you're thinking, should I try a foldable phone? I would say absolutely. If you're willing to just have some fun with your device, it's a great device to have. I don't have a lot of concerns with this device. I will say eventually, I think that inner screen protector is going to wear down, and maybe in a year or two, I might have to get it replaced. And that's something where you have to send it into Samsung. That may be a little bit annoying, or you may have to go to a Best Buy or find some type of Samsung store to go into. So overall, I don't like that. There are some small things I don't like. I wish the cameras were the absolute best in the world, but they're still really close anyway, right? But this device has a unique form factor that can't be replicated. A lot of people have been trying to make the best foldable phone out there, and I know there's a lot of cool form factors out there from Oppo and other places, but when it comes to the US, you just can't find a better foldable phone than this. It's water resistant, which most foldable phones are not. It's got a gorgeous, amazing OLED display, terrific performance, and I would say the battery life is also very, very good as well. So what's better than this device? I don't really think there's much that's better. I think it's a terrific device, and I think a lot of you should consider buying it. Now, I'm going to have a more traditional review maybe in the future, but I just wanted to talk about a lot of the amazing things that I've noticed in my time with the Z Fold 4. So hopefully you like this video. Please give me a like if you do like it, and give me a sub to my channel if this video has helped you out. Another thing as well you could do is check the links in the description. That is a great way to support my channel. And you can also, if you get a little bit of extra time, of course, watch some extra videos or leave any comments again if you have any questions. So have a great day, and I also want to say I hope you enjoy your week.